What's up everyone, it's Benedict here, aka BHL Hudson. Welcome back to the BHL2 channel. Today we got another news video, a new trailer dropped. It'll be a shorter video because it is a shorter trailer, but I wanted to talk about the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer, the follow-up season to last year's revamping of the Daredevil series, which, as you may remember from my review at the time, I had some mixed thoughts on. I thought it kind of felt like two shows mixed into one, and one show was vastly better than the other. But I'm still invested in Charlie Cox's version of this character. I'm still curious to see where it goes. It's one of the Disney Plus series that I'm more invested in. You know, like Wonder Man came out over the weekend, or like yesterday or whatever, and I don't know if anyone's talking about it. I might check it out. It looks all right. But Daredevil Born Again Season 2, I will be watching, so I want to talk about the trailer. We got some hints at where the story's going. We obviously got a big returning MCU character moment. So yeah, let's talk about it. And hopefully this video stays up because shout out NBC Universal for taking down my Travis Scott Odyssey video, because I guess having a still frame of Travis Scott from the trailer is like copyright infringement, I guess, according to them. Weird. Anyway, let's talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 2. First of all, in the trailer, I just want to say off the bat, I like the song choice, Lithonia, Childish Gambino off the Bando Stone album. That went pretty hard. That was a cool song choice. You know, I remember the last season had some decent needle drops. I think they had Radiohead in there or something, and you know, the Radiohead song that's in like every show and movie. But yeah, good song choice. I enjoyed that. In terms of returning characters, obviously Matt and Kingpin and all that, but we got Karen, she's back, and it seems like they are leaning more into the Matt-Karen romance after, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened the last season. I'm pretty sure he had a thing going with that therapist. Heather Graham was the actress and or character. That didn't work out. Now, you know, Karen is back in the picture. I like him and Karen, their chemistry, you know. I'm also sort of invested in their romance since 2015 when the first season came out, so I'm cool seeing that. We get Poindexter back here. Again, a character who I find really compelling, mainly from Season 3. Like, Born Again, I don't know, it did some okay stuff with Poindexter. I think, you know, he had some decent action beats. I didn't think he did anything too crazy with his character as compared to Season 3, where there was crazy action, there was interesting character development, he was a very compelling villain. But regardless, I like the performance. I'm curious to see more of him here. He's getting like a milkshake or something. In terms of new cast members, correct me if I'm wrong, is that not Matthew Lillard in the trailer? Very briefly, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo and among other things. That's cool. I'm cool with seeing Matthew Lillard in the MCU. Obviously, you know, he's mostly known for Scooby-Doo and FNAF, I guess, and Scream. But also, I will say, he can be a very good actor. Not that he's bad in those, but, you know, those are quite cartoonish things. But, you know, his brief stint in Twin Peaks The Return, kind of insane performance. Like, the interrogation scene is fucking wild. So, yeah, Matthew Lillard, he's talented. He seems like a cool guy. I'm excited to see him in some capacity in the MCU. In terms of the actual, like, story beats that we're getting from this, what might happen in this, seems like there's going to be some kind of weapon to disrupt Daredevil's hearing, because, you know, he uses his other senses because he's blind and all that, and he seems to be getting fucked up by some kind of sonic weapon or something. That'll probably be one of Kingpin's tactics. And speaking of which, we get quite a bit of Kingpin stuff here. He's doing a big boxing match, and his mayor's office seems to be even more mob style. You know, there's a bit where I think it's James Gandolfini's son is playing like the protege guy, but they're looking at a body in a trunk, you know, very Tarantino, very Scorsese style. Which, yeah, honestly, not that it's like super directly tied to that, but I do have hopes that this season will be a little bit more coherent and a little more focused on like the good show of the last season. Because like I said, it felt like two shows, and one was like more in line with the Netflix stuff, even if it had, you know, a little bit of a new coat of paint on it. But it was, you know, compelling and well written. And then there was the other stuff that felt very sort of MCU Disney Plus, and I was like, I don't love this at all. And so I'm hoping maybe they have sorted that out more, where this one will be more in the good show direction. I did, however, read, just as I was putting this together, that it was supposed to be, like, this was supposed to be one season. It's supposed to be 18 episodes. And then they split it into 2 seasons and, like, had to retool it a bit. And I would imagine that's where that feeling comes from, which would indicate that this season will also have those problems. But in some positive way, I guess, with season 1 being a bit of a sacrificial lamb type of thing, if that one felt a little anticlimactic, which it did, you know, towards the end, I was like, oh, that's it. Okay, that's the end of that. This one should hopefully have more payoff, should have more, I don't know. You can get more payoff and more of the stuff that you were building to in season 1. So that should be interesting at least. But yeah, I am hopeful that this will feel more coherent. And I like the like Kingpin mob stuff. You know, Kingpin as the mayor. That's a very like classic comic feeling storyline. Do stuff with that. There's also the anti-vigilante task force, which there seems to be some kind of segment where they're, cool with everyone in New York, everyone loves them, and I don't know if that's like in show, that's like a propaganda video that Kingpin makes or something, but there's footage of that in the trailer. I am also curious, speaking of like season 1 stuff, how are they leaning politically here? Because Marvel, I feel not that Marvel has ever been, insanely political or whatever, but I feel like in the previous few years, you can definitely tell they've gone like, don't make any, real statements in our movies that could jeopardize like a target demographic. Very apolitical, very not saying anything. And I'm not saying like all of your entertainment needs to be insanely political and have massive political messaging and ramifications, but to be like so neutered and sanitized. Like I just think of Captain America: Brave New World, where I'm not saying you have to have Harrison Ford be Donald Trump or something, but to have no thoughts about like the government or the whatever, just sort of this very bland whatever, compared to even like Winter Soldier, which had some stuff about, hey, the government's, pretty shady and it's all murky gray area or whatever. I'm curious what they're going to do here, because the first season, to me, it seemed, very Trump commentary with Kingpin. And I honestly don't really know how much of that is intentional and how much of that is just like Donald Trump is a real life villain. And so like fictional villains just seem to have parallels to him when that's not even meant to be the case. But especially, you got like his own personal army task force in this. And I mean, I don't know when this was filmed, but for there not to be parallels to what's happening with ICE and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, that would seem a bit odd. So I honestly, I don't know when this was written and filmed. I guess it was a little while ago, but I'm curious to see how much they lean into that political stuff, and if there are more parallels or if it's all just a coincidence or whatever. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen here. Final bit on the trailer, the big part, the big reveal. Jessica Jones, she's back from the Marvel Netflix days. If you were not watching back then, the Marvel stuff. I'm totally cool with this. I'm actually very excited about this. I like Jessica Jones a lot as a character, and I was thinking about this. I liked, with the exception kind of Iron Fist, I didn't despise him, but I did think he was by far the weakest link of the Defenders. The casting there is like phenomenal. Like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. I forget the guy who plays Luke Cage, but the guy who plays Luke Cage, Mike Coulter, maybe? Like phenomenal casting choices. And I'll be honest, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, their characters were a little bit wasted on subpar seasons towards the end. Like, I think Jessica Jones season 1 is great. Season 2 was kind of whatever. I haven't even watched season 3. Luke Cage, season 1, pretty good, although it sort of faltered towards the end. Season 2, yeah, alright. I feel like I'm more okay with seeing these characters brought back into the new era, because it doesn't seem like you're desecrating a legacy or something of the great shows. Like, there was a little bit of a worry when they did Daredevil Born Again, where I was like, man, I really like Charlie Cox's Daredevil. I'm actually, like, invested in that character. Like, please don't fuck this up, you know what I mean? That's such a great show, those 3 seasons. And here I'm like, well, if it's not like if it's sort of a more MCU Disney Plus-ish thing, it's not the end of the world, because those were not, untouched perfect series, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, that kind of stuff. And I really like those characters and that casting, so I welcome seeing Jessica Jones again. She had a fun dynamic with Matt Murdock in The Defenders, even if, that actual season was kind of up and down. Very compelling character. I guess they, again, sort of with the Disney Plus neuterification of these characters, like, Jessica Jones season 1 was so dark and so intense, and it deals with, fucking, like, sexual assault and all this, like, very heavy shit, and I think she is probably just going to be more like, hey, here's like someone from the old stuff you remember. Here's a superhero who's kind of sassy and she drinks a bit or whatever. But if they were able to give us, a little bit of character stuff and a little more, bring a little more darkness and groundedness and depth to it, that could be very interesting. Are they going to give like a whole new Jessica Jones show? I doubt it, because again, seasons 2 and 3 kind of petered out. No one really cared towards the end. But seeing these characters pop up in this world, totally cool with that. I would love to see Luke Cage again. I really liked Luke Cage. And I would be fine with seeing a Defenders show again, some kind of team up. Even, a different version of that where it would be like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and maybe fuck it, man. Maybe do like a Disney Plus style Defenders. Have Moon Knight and She-Hulk and all these people who, you know, their individual shows were kind of hit and miss, you know, not very memorable. I don't know, bring them together. Like, I think, again, Oscar Isaac did a good job in the Moon Knight show, even if that show wasn't all that interesting. Bring him back, you know what I mean? Take what worked, do some shit. Like, I'm not just saying, like, yes, put all the characters in the show, do the content, I want to consume it all, whatever, but, like, there's ways to utilize great casting choices that weren't maybe utilized that much or now have just been, like, cast aside to do something kind of cool. So, regardless, I mean, I'm talking about, you know, you see her for 3 seconds. She's going to be in the show. I'm speculating here that they're going to bring back more people, whatever. But if that's the direction they're going, I'm cool with that. I'm on board with that. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on the trailer. By the way, before I go, just actually speaking of the Trump and ICE stuff, and I apologize because I realize you're probably watching, you know, YouTube videos to get away from all the terrible news that's happening. But I do just want to say, if you're like me and you've been horrified by what's going on in the States right now, especially in Minnesota with the murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, I will just say standwithminnesota.com is a website that has lots of resources and ideas of how you can help, because it can be hard to feel, you know, totally helpless and hopeless and how can I do anything? And that website has, yeah, great resources and ideas of ways you can contribute and help out with what's happening over there. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, scary shit. But yeah, check it out, standwithminnesota.com. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the Daredevil Season 2, Born Again Season 2 trailer. What do you think of this? What do you think of Jessica Jones coming back? Are you excited for this? Whatever they might be doing with this Disney Plus thing with Daredevil and, you know, more street level Punishers back, and maybe they bring back the Defenders. Maybe they tie that into the Spider-Man movie because I think he's going to be in that, maybe, Daredevil. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, subscribe, check out my main channel, BHL Hudson, my podcast where we talk about movies and TV shows and a bunch of nonsense, the Poorly Planned Podcast, my Letterboxd, Real BHL Hudson, and my Instagram, BHL_Hudson. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.